Hi, so in this video what we're going to do is we're going to differentiate the function cosec of x. So cosec is just the same as 1 over sine of x, just because we define 1 over sine of x to be this cosec function. So this is just the same as taking the derivative of 1 over sine of x. And to do this, we're going to use the quotient rule that we did in one of the previous videos. So the quotient rule said that when you differentiate the quotient of two functions, f and g, where g is non-zero, we get this result. So df by dg times by g, subtract dg by dx times by f, all divided by the g squared. So we're just going to use this formula to work out the derivative of cosec. So if I just make the writing a bit smaller. So looking at the two the functions, that's the numerator function and the denominator function of this 1 over sine of x, if we just correspond that with the functions f and g that we've got in our chain rule formula, so f of x is going to be the 1 and g of x is going to be the sine of x. So we know that when we differentiate the number 1 with respect to x, well, we know that's just going to be 0. And when we differentiate the g of x, so the sine of x with respect to x, we know from a previous video that the derivative of sine is cos, so cos of x there. And g squared, well, that's just going to be sine squared, because, yeah, sine times sine is just sine squared. Okay, great. So now we can actually differentiate the cosec. So differentiating 1 over sine of x. So that's going to be using the quotient rule formula. So df by dg times by g. Well, df by, sorry, this should be an x, not a g, my bad. Df by dx times by g. So df by dx, well, that's 0. So 0 times by g, well, that's got to be 0. So we're going to have a 0 there. And then we're going to subtract dg by dx. So we worked out that dg by dx was cos, and we're multiplying that by f, and f is just 1. So 1 times cos of x, well, that's going to be cos of x there. And then we're going to divide this all by g squared, which is sine squared. So when we simplify this, we get negative cos of x divided by sine squared of x. So again, if we try and simplify this a little bit, so we've got cos of x on the top, and we've got sine of x times by sine of x. So again, this is just the same as negative cos of x over sine of x, all multiplied by 1 over sine of x. But we know by definition that 1 over sine of x is just cosec of x. And we also know, about the cot function. So cot of x is just 1 over tan of x. And 1 over tan of x is identical to cos of x over sine of x. And so what this means then is that what we've got here is negative cot of x times by cosec of x. And so in conclusion then, when we differentiate cosec, so cosec of x with respect to x, we get negative cot of x times by cosec of x. And that is the final result.